Welcome back. Thank you so much for being here with us. I am Pao from Creating Purpose with Pao, and I welcome you to the Spanglish World Network and Heart Network and channels 250 and 250 one in Zingo TV. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app on the respective app store while you download it or when you download it. Please make sure that you leave a comment and you rate our show and leave your comment, your feedback, and see what we can do better. This app is totally free. You can find Single TV on Google Chromecast, on Amazon Fire, Fire TV Stick, Roku Stick, and all smart TVs from 2016 forward. So I am so excited to have with us Stanley Dietrich. He is a life coach from 360 Life Without Limits. And he's here to talk to us about, fear of failure. So welcome to the show and thank you for being here, my friend.
Thank you, and big hugs back to you. Okay, heart bomb. All right.
Yes. So
Yeah.
tell us about you so our audience can get to know you a little bit more.
Okay. Where do you want me to begin, and what? Because it's a short book, but I try to lengthen it. So I am the proud dad of two adult children, and I have two adorable granddaughters that have, they have melted my heart. And I'm glad that it's winter because I get to pick my heart up when I leave, and then it reattaches. And then when I go back to see them, it melts again. They just, if I knew having grandchildren was so amazing, I would have had them first and then had my kids.
Oh my goodness. I know how much you love them because I remember one time we were having a meeting and you were like, listen, if I get a phone call from my daughter, I said, I'm leaving. It's like she's about to have a baby. We're like, yeah, sure, go for it.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Exactly.
you have inspire us, to be good grandparents.
Yeah, thank you. It's the next stage of joy in my world, and there's nothing like it. There's no success that even comes close to the joy of having kids and then now having grandchildren. And I'm called Pops. I'm not called Grandpa. I'm called Pops.
Pops, I like that.
Yeah, so Papa, and that's easier to say than Pops. But it's a joy, and everybody should do it.
You should all experience.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And if you can't be one, adopt one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm adoptable, just in case anybody wants to know.
Oh my goodness! Yes, we'll leave his information for you all to
to be adopted.
to think about it. Yes. That's awesome.
I'm taking applications for that right now.
That's funny. So tell us what you do.
Well, I'm a life coach, and it's there's this big thing where everybody's a life coach just because they give advice, and that's not what a life coach is. A life coach helps people overcome obstacles that they have overcome, and also I'm a mentor. So there's certain aspects of life that I have already gone through, and there's no reason for you to make the same mistakes. And what I tell people is, wherever you're at in life, if it's not where you want to be, there's somebody out there that's already done it, and find that person so that you can learn from their experiences. And part of those experiences are the failures, and we're going to talk about that today, the failures or the mishaps or the disappointments that they've experienced, and learn from them so you don't have to duplicate all of them. But, being a life coach is more than just a fancy little title that you can put on a logo and say, I'm a life coach. And then they say, well, what do you do? Well, I help people annihilate their limiting beliefs. Doesn't mean that I don't have any limiting beliefs. Just I've overcome a majority of them. And I look to other people to coach me. And when I say I'm a life coach, I'm coaching you through all aspects of life. And there's a variety in that. And, you know, as I'm a parent of adult children. I can help people that are going through that teenage year. I've been there. Now, when I was just having kids and they were 2 years old, I couldn't write a book on being the perfect parent and having the perfect children, because that would have been a dumb book. Okay. But so it's learning to express who you are and celebrate wherever you're at on the journey. And that's what I help people do. And to see things, you know, if you were inside of a jar, it's hard to read the label. Okay. And so as a life coach, as a coach, I am able to see the label and help you know what's on the other side, so that you don't give up and just sit in that jar and go, well, you know, I'll just wait till somebody picks me. And, you know, it's the body is an incredible thing. And we have a mind. Okay. And there's so much on mindset, right? I mean, that's all we hear about, but we also have a heart. And so there's a heart set. And then it's what we ingest, what we bring into our mouth. And that creates a health set. And then we have a spiritual set. We can walk into a room and there is an amount of energy and nobody has said anything, and we can feel that and we can radiate either positive or negative. That's our spirit. So we get these voices, and it's not woo-woo. It is actual, for me, I believe it's God speaking to me on a lot of occasions, saying, hey, keep your eyes focused, or be attentive and be aware of your surroundings, because I'm about to open up an opportunity. And I'll wait, and then I'll shut up. I know it's hard to believe that, but I do shut my mouth once in a while. And I listen to what's going on, and I make myself available. And as that happens, and I pause to hear the tone of the voice, the depth of their shoulders, their eyes, the way that they're holding themselves, you can actually hear a story, and you can decide whether it's their mindset, their heart set, their health set, or their spirit set. And as we look at that and we box that in, you know, there used to be a song, "My hat has three corners has my hat." I don't know if you remember that or not. Maybe I'm dating myself here, because nobody else is right now. But so what I want to say is that it's not just a triangle. And I used to say it was the mind, body, and the spirit, but there's so much more, because it is what we eat that gives us those feelings. If you eat sugar, you're going to feel like, yeah, it's not going to be good. Okay. And an abundance of it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, that is beautiful what you're sharing with us, because you're right. It's not just the mind, the mindset, the spirit, and the body. It's more than that. We have more components, and there is times that it could be the spirit that needs to fuel. There is sometimes that it's the negative thoughts that need our fuel. Sometimes might be our heart. So it is beautiful what you're bringing to our awareness, because sometimes we only focus on those three, like you're saying, because that's what I remember, like last decade, books that I've read, they cover the mind, the body, and the spirit, but there is more, more components to that. So
yeah.
Did you ever felt like you weren't enough?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I could write books on that. And I think, there's occasionally times even now when I question whether I'm enough. It is, I buy a new book because maybe there's something that is going to show me my deficiency. So I've got to find something that helps me know that I am enough in this moment, because now you begin to compare, because your mind plays tricks on you, and you hear or you see somebody else doing something that is more than what you're doing, and you go, maybe I need to do that. Maybe that's the golden egg. And so it is a battle that goes on between, our higher self and our lower self. And back when I was a kid and they had real cartoons, I think it was a Bugs Bunny cartoon, and there would be a little devil on one side and an angel on the other side. Sometimes the angel would put her wings and halo to the side and kick the devil's butt, right? Knock it off the shoulder, and then go back and hold its, cherub and all that other stuff. But that's what we have to do. And we get into the comparison game, but we don't understand the dynamic of how critical that comparison game can be. If we use it just like anything else, if we use it in the powerful way, the good way, the way that causes us to rise up to our ability, then great. Use the comparison as a motivator. But too many people use comparison as a demotivator. And, we are struggling, especially in the last 2 years, with this comparison, because more people have been on social media and now they're comparing. And, there's like the show Social Dilemma. There's this comparison that takes place. Gosh, they didn't like my stuff as much as they liked, Paola's stuff. Gosh, I'm not good enough. And, why bother? Why try? And we get into that cycle. And then, so yes, to answer your question, yeah, there's times when, you look at yourself in the mirror on a bad day and you go, man, you're losing hair. Did you know that? Did you know you got an extra wrinkle right here, a line right here? No, I didn't know that. Thank you for pointing that out to me. And I'm talking to myself, right?
Yeah, is the critical side of our brain that is always measuring, trying to keep us alive, but yeah, it causes the comparison. So we have to learn to educate that side of the mind. Yeah. And I think is whenever we get trapped into that comparison, is like, oh, okay, no, it's like, look what is possible. Oh, wow, they did that. Yeah. That's awesome. It's like, it is possible. So yeah, it's educating our minds. But tell us how did this affected you? Like, because sometimes when we get trapped into like not being enough, sometimes that can take, it's not like a couple of minutes where now you're probably able to break that pattern really fast. But for some people that don't have the strategies, don't have the skills, sometimes that can take them months, if not years, with that process in their mind. So how did that affect you?
Okay, well,
in the past.
In the past, I guess I wasn't educated enough to allow it to bother me. And as I got older and I had achieved certain accolades, then my whole life changed, because I said, I'm not going to continue to do what I'm really, really good at. I'm going to do what I'm passionate about. And that's when I made the career change. And I went into ministry for several years, and then got into coaching. And this is what I do full time. And when you do this comparison game in your mind and you go, I wish I would have done this when I was 35. I wish I would have done this when I was 25. What if I would have had this exposure when I was 25? And we start playing these games in our mind. And then I got to go, stop it already. Okay. Just stop with the thoughts. Look where you're at. You wouldn't be where you're at if you didn't experience what you experienced. And what you saw as a failure was a setup for your highest platform, because you couldn't get on that highest platform if you hadn't done all those other things. So you made it this far. Okay. Struggle is a biological need. It is a necessity. You know, just look at a salmon. I love salmon. Where do they go to spawn? Where do they go to breed? Upstream. They swim against the stream before they lay their eggs. Now, as I look at the entirety of life from the very beginning, we had to swim upstream against 400 million other sperm to get to the egg. So let me tell you, from the very beginning, you were a winner. Okay? You didn't fail. Failure is an event. It is not a description of your identity. And this is where, you know, it's a check and balance. It's a constantly checking and balancing myself. And I go, okay, so what? You failed at this. But you're not a failure. Because it's better to do 100 things and fail at the attempt 98 times until you succeed than it is to say, you know what? I never failed at anything. Well, because you didn't try anything, so shut up already, right? So
yeah, and we learn through the, you know, like we okay, what went wrong? What can I do better than, you know, next time?
Exactly. Yeah, when we allow an event to shape our identity, this is where we get mixed up. And we can take an event. Let me go back a few years. I was in the 5th grade, and I wanted to be in the band, right, at school. So we had band tryouts, right? And they asked what instrument I wanted to play, and I said, excuse me, I wanted to play the piano. And they're like, can you play the piano? And I go, yeah. And they go, okay, well then show up with your tryout. Now, I'm in the 5th grade. I had a little piano. It was this big at home. Okay. And I bring it to school with me. And I show up in the band room. Now, you're already laughing, all right? The wound is opening back up. Okay. So they laughed at me. And they said, that's not a piano. And I go, yes, it is a piano. No, it's not. You can't play that. That's not part of the, and I never wanted to touch an instrument again. Okay, so now as I get older, I'm only 21, but as I get older, okay, I started having children really young.
Really early.
I want to play an instrument. And it is now, I don't care. I'm gonna eventually do that. That will be something that I want to do. But that wound can come up, and it can leave a lasting impression. And if we don't address it, we suppress it, and then we can carry that around into other areas in our life. And at the slightest, you know, what failure is, why people struggle with failure is because it has a root cause, and that root cause is rejection, a feeling of rejection. And no human being wants to be rejected. None. Okay. So even our teenagers, they say they want anonymity, and they don't want to conform. But if you go to school, they all look the same. They're conforming to each other. They just don't want to conform to us. So they don't want to be rejected. They don't want to have that stigma of feeling like a failure. And so they follow the norm. And then when they don't try anything, then they can't fail, but they failed already by not trying anything. And so it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, they're trying to belong, right? Because whenever we belong, it's like we feel like there's the love, you know.
Yes.
you're accepted, and that's a lot of people are seeking for that. They just want to be accepted. Treat me wrong, but just accept me. It's like,
Right.
make me feel like you accept me, but treat me wrong, it doesn't matter.
Right.
A lot of them stay in that environment. But yes, is the pain of the rejection. Sometimes we're willing to do, the humans are willing to do things to avoid pain.
Yes.
And sometimes avoiding the pain, it means not trying again. It's not, trying a little bit harder, because you're afraid that if you failed, you're going to be rejected. And that's so painful to the soul that you're willing not to try and just to move on, like pretend like nothing happened. So yes, how did you overcome the fear of failure? How can you guide us with, like, how do you overcame that?
Well,
But you said this is enough.
Yeah. So, like I said, I wasn't educated enough to let it reside inside of me. I saw the obstacle and I said, this is an opportunity, because if you tell me that I can't do something, I'm going to die trying, and I'm going to die showing you that I will do it. I was a junior in high school, and I worked in a lumber yard, and I was 119 pounds when I was a senior in high school. And when I was working in this lumber yard, so I had put on a little bit of weight as a senior. Okay, so I'm a junior, and they wouldn't let me go on these deliveries with this guy that was an All-American football player. His name was Mike Griffith. And so Mike pulled into the yard one day, and there was two sheets of fire-coated drywall. It was 12 foot long, 4 foot wide, and fire-coated drywall is pretty daggone heavy. And I took it off the truck, and I carried it 150 yards across the parking lot, and I put it back, and I put it back on the stock shelf. And Mike Griffith was standing out there. And when I walked back, he walked into the office with me, and he said, he goes on deliveries with me from now on. Because, see, they thought that I was a little guy. Okay, I was 5 foot tall then. I grew 5 inches when I graduated. And my mom was a giant. She was 4'9", and I used to look up to her thinking, that's great. But, I overcame that feeling of failure by being the smallest, being, the shortest, by going, okay, you know what? This is an obstacle, but it's really an opportunity in disguise. And, how can we do that with other things in our life? Just challenge it.
See it as an opportunity, like you just said, it's an opportunity to learn how to do it better. It's an opportunity to gain a better skill. Like, I want to invite all of our beautiful audience today. If you started the year with goals and you feel like you fail already, it's like, the year is not over. This is just the beginning. The month might be almost over, but we're inviting you to reanalyze, okay, what went wrong? How can I try it again and do it even better? What went well? How can you do it even better this time, and begin your goals? Some of, like, the statistics show that by this time of the year, a lot of people already gave up on their goals. So
yeah. I want to say it's like 85% of people by the third week in January have already given up, and they're going, well, it's only 11 months and 7 days till the new year starts. That will be a great time to start.
Yes, we're inviting you to get up, pick it up, whatever it was. It's like, how can you do it even better? It's like, if you fell, you have not started that diet, if you had to quit within the first week, okay, try it again. Plan for the next month. Plan for Monday.
Yes.
Or tomorrow. Yes. So what do we need to remember to go, to grow out of this season of experiencing fear of failure?
Fail.
Because we go fail again.
And fail often. Because
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it just gave me an aha moment because if I'm not failing, that means I'm not trying.
You got it, sister.
Yay!
You got it.
Okay. Okay, then so let's take a moment of invite our people, our beautiful audience, to follow you. What where can we redirect them?
They can
Where can they find you?
they can find a little bit about me at 360lifewithoutlimits.com. That's my website. And I need to get my butt in gear and do some more Instagram. They can follow some of my stuff on Instagram. I'm not really avid, but I'm going to get there again. And that's at Life Coach Stan on Instagram. And just, I'd say if they go to either of those, you know, I never know who is real. It's asking me for a friend request because there's so much stuff out there. But they can DM me on Instagram. They can if they go to my site and they want to know more about how they can have the life that they are really intended to have. They can go to my site and they can book the 30-minute virtual coffee. And if they put uh, the code down there, the promo code, if they put PAO 23, I know that they've watched your show, and anybody who's watched your show, I know and I'll make sure that you are taken care of because of that. So,
Awesome.
yeah,
Thank you.
it's
Yay.
it's and this is a complimentary. There's no charge for that virtual coffee.
Yes, take advantage of it because it's like every time I talk to Stanley, he unblocks something. If I'm thinking of something, I share it with him, and he just asks one question, and I'm like, "Oh, I got it! I got it! I know what I have to do." So sometimes, we're trapped in that season of fear of failing. Like maybe, you're afraid to try it again. It could be that you haven't started your diet. It could be that you haven't started working out because it's too cold. It could be, many, many things, but it's just the third week of the month of the year, so you have a whole year ahead of you. And like he was saying, is like if we're not failing, that means we're not trying. So that's lovely. As parents, I feel like I'm always failing. So you're comfort to me right now because I'm trying to be a better mom each day. So here we are. If we're not failing, we're not trying. If you can go to my YouTube channel. If you like this interview, our content, go to YouTube channel, Paola Guthrie. You can share the content, give us comment what you like, what you don't like. Who do you want us to invite? And to serve you better. We have around 500K, over 500K viewers right now watching us. So thank you so much for helping me build this channel. So you all are a blessing in my life because you're motivating me and inspiring me to build, you know, my profession to be able to serve you better and bring beautiful souls to our show that can also help us to share beautiful information that can only guide you to empower your life to live a life with more joyful. That's our purpose. Always with love. We leave the ego aside, you know and we bring the love and we share it with you also. Thank you for helping us to build this channel. We're over 500K audience, so yay. uh so yay. So share with us, Stanley, what is the main message for our audience today?
What is the main method or message? It would be if you're still breathing and you're on this side of the dirt, you've got a full life ahead of you. And don't take any event and define your identity. And if you need help, don't be so egotistic that you don't reach out and ask for it. If you get people that say no, it just means that they're not capable of helping you. Okay? You will find a yes, because anybody that's worth their weight is worth their weight in gold, and anybody who's worth their weight will say yes. You'd have to be a gorilla not to want to help someone. Okay?
Yes. Something came up to me as you're sharing this. Sometimes, I mean, most of the time, all the time, our opponent, that person that says no, that person that gives you that resistance, that doesn't welcome you, it ends up being your teacher. If you truly pay attention to the picture, that person is just being your teacher, is playing the role they're meant to play
Yeah.
for you to grow.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a long time for us to figure out. We have to let go of the resentment. We have to let go of those hard feelings that we are carrying since we're children. But when you take a better look at the picture, when you change what you see, and what you see will change.
Yes.
Is that the phrase?
Yep.
So when we begin to change what we see will change. And you'll see that that person that said no, the person that rejected you, the person that you felt like gave you the resistance, gave you the opponent, the opposition, in reality was your teacher. Like, was beautifully is like that person is being your teacher right now, for you to act from your heart, not from the ego. Not from the ego, that is like, it's from within, like with your strength, how to mold yourself to become a better person. And it hurts. And it's a process, but as long as you choose to grow from that experience, you're going to go overcome and learn to see a different situation, a situation where you're going to see that you're benefiting from it, because you're growing, you're becoming a better person. And your children, if you have children, you'll be able to teach them. They're watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our life is a seed from the very beginning, from the very conception. And if we look at any seed at all, there is an outer shell that protects what's inside, and what's inside is where the fruit comes from. And it's when that outside shell begins to break, it's got to be a painful experience, because there's a pushing, there's a struggle that wants to come forth, and it's scary. It's usually dark, it's usually wet and muddy, and we can't see daylight. And eventually that seed, whether it's an oak tree, a tomato plant, or a human being, when that seed breaks through and comes out into that light, then the fruit of that seed is so much more than what we can even imagine. The possibilities, the impact that each person that is listening to this, and those that need to hear this, their impact is priceless. And it is, I can't even think of the right word, and I'm a word person. The value is not even expressed or experienced until they go forward. And what no really means is that's your filter for the next opportunity. When somebody tells me no, I'm like, next. Okay? Because you are my filter for what I don't want. Okay, whether it's a job, a relationship, a vehicle, a house, a community, it doesn't matter. If you try something and you get the no's, you just know that that's your filter. So just stay in the game, fail often, and what I would say is fail fast. Don't prolong it. Just fail fast. I think, well, maybe I'll go out. Oh, no, I'll do it tomorrow. No, maybe Thursday's a better day. No, probably Friday. But then it's the weekend. Then I'm going to do it Monday. And this is what we do. And, because we procrastinate failing. Stop.
Yes, stop. You are worthy. You're capable.
Exactly.
With whatever you have right now, try to better your life with a new habit. You know, if it's working out, walk for 10 minutes and then add up, add another minute next day until you're able to walk a little bit longer. If it's eating healthy, eat an apple, one apple a day until you can eat an apple and a banana, an apple and a broccoli.
Yeah.
It's like baby steps, but like Stanley said, it's like take action, like begin to fail now and as often as we can, because it means that we are trying, that we're taking action. And it's beautiful whenever you go back and you see, okay, what did I do right in this process? What can I do even better? Okay. And notice what went wrong, but always, take credit for what went right. What can be better? Okay, yeah, I messed up on that one, and then move forward. Continue to try whatever you're working on. It's like you have everything within you to shine your light.
Yeah.
Yes. Something comes to my heart and I'm going to share, and I'm sorry if I put you on the spot, but you helped me a lot. And I don't know if I ever gave you credit, because I do have my oldest was born deaf. So always in the back of the mind, you think, is this something I did wrong?
Mm.
And I remember you shared the story about your son, and you share a scripture from the Bible that truly set me free. Could you share with that? Do you feel like sharing?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was married, our first pregnancy, and I say ours because it was it was a shared experience. We were having a picture perfect pregnancy, and she was healthy. I mean, we weren't around any smoke. We weren't around any bad environment. And 8.5 months into that pregnancy, my mom called and said, I have cancer. At the moment that my mom said cancer, my wife buckled over, and she thought she was going into labor. And what we found out was that the doctors told my mom if she waited for the baby to be born, which would be 2 weeks from then, that she wouldn't live to see the baby. So she had surgery. Well, then 10 days later, we discovered that the baby had died. And there was this guilt of, how did I not protect her? How did I not make things, why did this happen? Was God punishing me? What was it, something that I did? Why would God take my child? And, a Christian colloquial is, and we hear this a lot, that God needed an angel in heaven. And I said that was crap. That was really just crap. I just didn't buy that. And then 3 months later, we get pregnant again. And then 3 months after that, now we have a miscarriage. And so she's in her first trimester and she starts bleeding. And we walked into a hospital and we were there all day. And there was a preacher that came in and asked, if there's anything he could answer, what could he do, And I said, I got one question for you. Why did God take my child? Because I had beaten myself up thinking, what did I do when I was 10 years old that made this happen? What did I do? Was I not a good child? Was I not a good parent? Was I not? And that false guilt overtook me. And long story short, he said that he didn't have an answer, but it wasn't that God needed an angel in heaven. I never met him. And so a few months later, I'm reading this passage in John chapter 9. And at verse 3, Jesus is walking with his disciples. And they came upon this blind man. And they said, why was this man born blind? Was it from his sins or from his parents? And see, we need something to blame. And sometimes we blame ourselves. And this is where we get into this rabbit hole that goes so deep of failure, and we adopt that as an identity. And so what they were trying to do was create an identity for this blind man. And Jesus said, neither. It was so the work of God would be displayed in his life. Now, could God display his work in this man's life without him being blind? Absolutely. But He did so much more. Now, in my own life, I buried my first son. Then we had a miscarriage. Out of that, I went on a search to find out why. It wasn't a personal failure, it was a personal setup. And in that, thousands of people have come to Christ, have come to faith because of what I experienced and my ability to connect with parents that have lost a child, that have buried a child. And you don't realize how many people experience these things until you experience it. Then you start, it's like your reticular activating system kicks in and you go, wow, I didn't realize that that happened to you. And so that's where, that's where my platform, did we lose sound?
Thank you. I'm here. No, I'm good. What happened is my computer said you have to charge me because if not, I'm gonna die. So sorry.
Okay. So
thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
And I mean, it came to me because I'm like, well, some people are dealing with guilt, and like you said, the brain is trying to make sense somehow, and sometimes we blame ourselves.
Yeah.
But in reality, like in this case, it's for a higher purpose.
Exactly.
Like that gave you a purpose, and because of you brought a lot of people to God's community. It was for building the kingdom of God.
Right.
So when you share that with me, I think I still had a little bit of guilt, but then it went free. It was like, oh, I get it. Like I truly get it now. It's like he's deaf because he has a higher purpose. People has to look at him and it's like, oh wow, look, he's functioning or he's talking. Look what he's able to do. Right. Even with him not being able to hear when he doesn't have his device. So I don't know why it came to me. So I just said, it's like, I ask you to share the information. Maybe we can bless some people out there that might be dealing with guilt.
Yeah.
So I so appreciate you.
I appreciate
you. What is the main message, or like in your very personal opinion, a message in your very personal opinion that is most needed, like the most needed lesson to learn so that humanity need to learn to level up? Like, what do you see that humanity needs? And I include myself. I'm humble enough to like, I know I need some work.
So, one of the ways that I've done it with my own children is I demystified what failure was. And so they would ask me, I would share my failures. I would share my fears. I would share my doubts. Okay. It's okay to have doubts. It's when we have disbelief and we believe in nothing and not even ourselves, that's when the enemy of our soul, and you can call whatever you want to call it. I call it the devil, but the enemy of our soul, we actually do more of his work for him that he doesn't have to do it, because we criticize ourselves, we beat ourselves down, and we say we should have done better. And when we start shooting all over ourselves, then we miss the opportunity to accelerate and share these things so you demystify them. Share your failures, the experiences with your children. Share them with someone, because otherwise you will beat yourself up in the seclusion in your own closet. And it's a very dark place that many people find themselves at. And it's really a dark night of the soul when that takes place. So I say share them, and then you take the sting out of it, because it's not anything over your head.
That is so good. It's like, share it. Share our doubts. Share our outer criticism.
Yeah.
It's like, is that side of our beautiful brain that it gets activated and it's trying to keep us alive. So sometimes we beat ourselves down,
Yeah.
thinking we could have done it better, and we stay there probably for days, and we don't need to be there. Uh, yes, share. Now, what would you tell to those who think I don't have anyone to share it with?
Okay. Um, if they don't have anyone to share with, then their best bet.
Or that they feel comfortable. Like
Okay. Sometimes it's easier to share with a stranger because there's no judgment. And this is why the bars are full. Okay. Because we find a stranger that we can tell something to. Okay.
okay.
Because it helps to relieve us. They can connect with me and have that safe place if they go to 360lifewithoutlimits.com
Yes.
and connect, do a virtual coffee, and I promise that I will add at least $400 worth of value to their life in that complimentary free call. If they don't want anything else but that half an hour, I guarantee you that I'll add. If I can't, then please find someone that you can.
Yes. Take action.
Take
Take
action.
action. Don't be in your own storm of self-doubt, of out of criticism. It's like, do not stay there. It's like, find some help.
Yeah,
Comment, find us, uh just to say, hey, I just want to express this. Hey, I just want to express this. And just let it out. Let it out. We're here
yeah,
to share our love.
exactly,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
There are, and I say this, Stanley, because I know there's a lot of people out there. You and I have talked about loneliness, the problem with loneliness, and there's research out there that loneliness is killing more people than any other diagnosis.
Right.
So we know loneliness is real. So try to interact, try to connect. You can just send a message, uh, but don't stay in that storm. Like, please do not stay in that storm. There is people out there that are willing to listen to your to read to read that comment. So just seek help. Please, please, please. But the power is within you,
Yeah.
choosing not wanting to stay in that storm.
Right.
So yes, that's beautiful. So today, make sure that you analyze your failures, and we applaud you for them.
Yep.
As in, if you were trying to lose weight and you haven't been able to it, it's like, okay, you fell at it, you try again, please.
Yeah.
It could be working out, try again. It could be reading the book that you started and you're still on the first page. Try again. uh Anything that is going to build you, and you still haven't finished that task, finished that goal, try again. Try as many times as you can till you get it done, and you're going to learn each time. Hi, we have two people saying hi. uh, Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah.
Please let us know what you're thinking. If you have a question, we'd love to interact with you right now, answer any questions. Know that this TV show is live, so if you ever had the opportunity to ask a question, put us on the spot. We'll answer that question for you. Uh, so you're welcome to it. So we also talk about, uh, help me, Stanley. We talked about, just to recap, it's not just your mindset. That's what you were saying at the beginning. You have your heart set, you have your spiritual set, you have your eating set, like the way we eat. So we have to be aware how we're doing on that. Um, Sometimes we find ourselves between our lowest self and our high self, and that's when we learn to we get to compare, and is where we begin to think that we're not enough. When we begin to see that the grass is greener on the other side. So here's where I would advise you to value you, because a higher power created you. and you're here for a reason. You're a blessing. You are a blessing. Sometimes we have people in our life that bring us that message to learn to be grateful, to learn to love more. So pay attention, like who's around you that is bringing that message. There is and this is something I just learned a couple of months ago. There is like a famous Latino actor, and I see all the women going crazy. And I'm like, wow, if they would only see his story, if they would only pay attention to his story, he's bringing gratitude to the world, which is sometimes we don't learn to interpret it. But it's like if he's from Cuba and he tells his story the first time he came to the U.S., he would they took him to the grocery store and he would only buy he would grab one banana, one apple, one of each, and they're like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "I'm just this is what I want today." And they're like, no, you can buy more, grab, this many pounds of bananas, this many pounds of apples. And he was in shock, because he came from another country.
Right.
Then he became famous. But when I see him now, it's like he's bringing in, and he has a lot of fans that sometimes we misinterpret. They're seeing he's outside.
Right.
He's seeing he's handsome. He's seeing, oh my goodness, like he's in this movie, he's over here, he's over there. But in reality, he's bringing gratitude. If you pay attention to the story, oh wow! So every time I see him, is like I try to be grateful. So if you're in that storm, where you don't feel like enough, you are enough. We're here to tell you because a higher power created you. You are a blessing, and begin to see those small messages. The who are you attractive to, and what is the message that they're trying to give you to enrich you to make your life better. Another thing is always navigate from your heart and leave the ego aside, because the ego can take us a long way, but in the meantime, it hurts you and it hurts those relationships that you have around you. And I tell you from experience, I think I graduated college with my ego.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not good to use it as our fuel. It's like love will take you farther. So, but yeah, anything else that you want to share with us before we go, Stanley?
No, I think you summed it up. I think you summed it up very well. And
Yes, see the opportunities, right?
Yep, opportunities.
Yeah, see your opportunities. Thank you so much, all
Thank
of you, for being here with us. Thank you, Stanley. We'll have you back in the future. Thank you so much. Guys, please go to the YouTube channel if you like this interview. If you think this content needs to be heard by other people, share it, like it, share your comments as well. Remember that you are the one that gives power to your talents. You're the only one that gives life to your dreams. This show can also be heard on Spanglish radio network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all news and programming. Show Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thank you all so much, and blessings. We'll see you.